All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Maxine Nebro. I work over at tutor.com as a senior customer success manager. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing for back to school with the tutor.com program that you all have through the SC Discus program over at the state. So, we're going to be getting started in just another minute or so. I want to make sure folks have enough time to come on in. So, do sit tight, just some housekeeping to go over. This is going to be recorded, so you'll have access to this recording within the next day or so, so that will be emailed out to you. And additionally, there will be time for a Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those into the question box, and I'd be more than happy to kind of go over them with you. But yeah, let's sit tight. Just give it about another minute for folks to come on in. All right, thanks so much. All right. Again, for those who just joined, my name is Maxine Nebro. I work over at tutor.com as a senior customer success manager. Today, we're going to be talking about preparing for the back to school season with your tutor.com program that is provided by the SC Discus program from the state. Today, we're going to be going over a couple of things, but before we really get started, again, for those who just joined, this is going to be recorded, so you will have access to this in the next day or so when that gets sent out. And then additionally, there is going to be time at the end for a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those into the question box, and I'll be able to get to those at the very end. But without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I wanted to go over today is talking about the agenda. So we'll be going over a couple of things like how to actually access tutor.com, what that kind of looks like for patrons. We'll go over the past 12 months of updates that we've made for your program, of which there have been many updates made. And if you aren't familiar with tutor.com in the first place, this can be a pretty good place to start off with to get a pretty good idea of what's in the program now. We'll also be talking about how to incorporate tutor.com into maybe some programming or outreach that you have going on at the library, and we'll tie that into some of the resources that we have on our Partner Resource Center. And then lastly, we'll talk about our upcoming updates that I think might be helpful for you and your team. So we can go ahead and get started. And oh, wrong way. The first thing is actually accessing tutor.com. So luckily, our partnership with SC Discus has made it incredibly easy to actually access the program. All you have to do is go to the Discus homepage, and you'll see us right here as a featured resource. And all you have to do is click this access tutor.com button. We've made it so that basically anybody within the state of South Carolina can click this button and automatically be brought into the program as a guest. So it's a very seamless process. If you have any patrons or students who are accessing from outside of state, maybe they're on summer vacation, winter break, spring break, for example, but they still need access to the resources within tutor.com, there is going to be a username and password that you can reach out to the Discus team and they'll be able to provide you with that you can then use to log in and access the program. So again, we've made it as simple as possible to get into tutor.com from the Discus homepage. Now, once you do that, once you click access tutor.com, you're going to see a screen that looks a little bit like this. So we've completely updated our user interface to make it friendlier for younger patrons and older patrons alike. And we've done a lot of work to bring a lot of the resources out to that home page. One thing I want to mention for your program is when you access tutor.com for the first time, you'll be accessing as a guest. So that means you'll only have access to the Connect with a Tutor Now feature. So that's the first like deep blue color box that you see on the screen here, as well as the highlighted box in the top navigation bar, and then some resources within the test prep and self-study dropdown, of which I'll kind of talk about in just a bit. That's because it's a completely anonymous experience and we're not saving any of that information from the patron. That makes scheduling a session or returning work back to the student a little bit more difficult. So those resources are locked behind a completely free account. In order to create an account, all you need to do is enter in your email address, your password, date of birth, and you'll be pretty much set. Now, when it comes to the actual user interface, like I mentioned, we've done a lot to kind of update and modernize the look and feel of the site. So one of the things is you see tiles here for Connect with a Tutor Now, Writing Review, and Math Review. If you actually scroll down on that page, you'll see a large number of tiles, each that have links to those specific parts of the platform, and a short little description talking about what you can expect going into that specific resource. So again, you can click Connect with a Tutor Now, and that will bring you to the Connecting with a Tutor page. And all you have to do is fill out a short pre-session survey that lets our tutors know what you need help with so that you can get connected to the appropriate tutor. So it's a very simple and seamless process to get started and connecting with an actual tutor with us. We also have things like writing review, math review. Our SAT and ACT Essentials has its own tile if you scroll down further. Same thing for our practice quizzes, so on and so forth. So, like I said, we really tried to bring a lot of those resources onto the home page and make it easier to find and navigate. We also updated our top navigation bar. We added new resources and we reorganized some things. So one of the things that we added in the past year or so was scheduling a tutoring session. This is something that is very popular, especially with parents of younger students. That way you can schedule up to 3 sessions at a time to work with a tutor of your own choosing. This is really great for those who maybe need that extra bit of consistency. They like working with a specific tutor that they've worked with in the past. They have now the flexibility to do that moving forward. We also added a test prep and self-study drop-down. So if you were familiar with tutor.com in the past, previously all of our resources from the Princeton Review, of which is our sister company, was hidden underneath a general others tab. So it wasn't really easy to find or easy to know what is actually available. Now we've kind of reorganized it, labeled it as test prep and self-study. So all of our Princeton Review materials and static content, so practice quizzes, video library, and our AP seminars, Skill Center, all of that is found within the test prep and self-study dropdown. We also added net new, a college and career dropdown. So this is where our brand new resources, like our career center, which walks you through every single step of the job application process, from, figuring out what kind of job you might want, figuring out your needs from a job, updating your resume and cover letter, applying to that position, preparing for that interview, and beyond. All of those resources can be found in the Career Center. And then we also added a brand new resource called the FAFSA Center. And that's something that I'll be highlighting again in just a little bit. So this is a brand new resource. So anybody who's preparing on going to college or needs help in their career or just updating resume, cover letter, maybe internships coming up, this is going to be where they want to go. And then lastly is the My Account dropdown. So like I mentioned, you unlock a lot of resources when you create a free account. And when you do that, you unlock the My Account dropdown. In here, we have a number of different resources for you to utilize, like favorite tutors, a locker where you can store different documents. But some of the new things that we've created and added here is the practice classroom. This is going to be a game changer if you're ever doing a demonstration to a patron or you're presenting to maybe school faculty or maybe you're doing a training at the local library. This allows you to open up a version of the classroom that you can play around with to your heart's desire. You have access to every single tool within the classroom that you can use and show off. So this is a fantastic demonstration tool for you to utilize when you log into an account, and also for patrons to utilize if they want to get familiar with the different tools that are available, as well as, maybe needing a digital piece of scrap paper that they can draw on and work through their problems. They now have access to that. And then we have the progress report. This is a brand new report that shows how the account is being utilized. So I can easily see at a quick glance, all right, let's say I've had 5 sessions in math, 10 sessions in writing. I can easily see where I might be struggling the most. It'll show how long I'm staying in sessions on average and any favorite tutors that I've listed as my favorite tutor. But the reason that we've added this is really for parents who want to have a little bit more insight as to how their kids are utilizing the platform. So one of the things that we've heard a lot is, I don't know if my kid's actually connecting to a tutor. I don't know what work they're doing. Now that student or patron can print out this progress report or download it as a PDF, share it with their parent to show, hey, I've had X number of sessions. I've had them with these tutors, and I'm staying in these sessions for about 25 minutes on average. So that is a new kind of tool for parents to just kind of keep track of what their children are doing. And it's even more helpful for family accounts where the parent creates an account underneath their own information and shares that with everybody in the family, especially for younger students who would be locked into having a COPA account if they created it underneath their own identifying information. So the children's email or first name. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Now, I mentioned earlier on about that FAFSA page. So this is kind of what that looks like. We created a financial aid for college insights page, which is created and has articles from the Princeton Review talking about that kind of college process. So we have a number of different articles that we've created, and we're also adding a number of them in the future. This is a living page that is going to be updated moving forward. But basically, you can find articles about financial aid, FAFSA and the CSS profile, college and beyond. And what that looks like is this, where essentially you have different articles talking about deadlines, different types of financial aid, merit-based versus, you know, other types of based financial aid, the types of what the cost of college is going to look like, how to potentially pay for college, and even choose your dream school. Articles like these are available for your patrons to look through. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, if you were to click the What are the costs of college article, you'll get something that looks like this, where it's much longer, obviously, than what you're seeing here. But we talk about, what college actually costs, including, you know, books, tuition, living prices, all of that type of information is included in these articles. So again, these are very in-depth, created by the Princeton Review, who has over 40 years of experience in the, college area. Another one of the updates that we made is our webinar hub. So this is where we link out to all of our previous student success or patron-focused webinars, of which we have many. And you can see we have some quick links at the top, which I'll show off in just a moment. But one of the most important things is if you go to this page, which if you scan the QR code, that is where you can go to get access to this page. Um, when you go here, we'll have links to all of our upcoming webinars. So as you can see, we have a number of webinars coming up covering early career management, study skills like AI and academic integrity, and even some college readiness topics throughout the rest of the year. You can grab these links, share them with patrons, promote them. These are completely free for everybody in your area to access and to kind of register for. So again, right here, this is where you can find all of our upcoming webinars. So any future webinars that we create, you'll find here. Next, like I mentioned, we also have quick links. If you were to click any of these, they will bring you to the appropriate portion of the platform. So for example, if I wanted to access the student success webinars, I can click student success. That will bring me to this page here where then I can go through and see every single one of our recent student success webinars. Maybe I want to look at time and attention management. I can click that and it will just open up the video for me to access. So again, this is a brand new resource that we've added, again, to make it easy for you and your patrons to get access to all of the fantastic webinars that we do throughout the year. And again, if you scan that QR code in the top right-hand corner, that's where you can access that. Next, I wanted to talk about our tutor.com University. So I know I talked a little bit about some of the updates we made this year, but we created a brand new training resource for your patrons, specifically that talks about every single resource within the platform. So how the classroom works, how dropping off a paper works, how to connect with a tutor, our test prep resources. It walks through every single one of those, including some additional modules talking about who we are as a company, what our history is, our approach and methodology to online tutoring. So there's a lot of information in here, and this is created again specifically for faculty members or librarian staff. So this is not exactly for patrons to sign up for, but this is for you and your teammates to sign up for to learn a little bit more about what is available within the platform. That way, when you're working with patrons, you can more easily share that information out. Now, in the top right-hand corner, this is where we also have a QR code for you to utilize. You access that, you can register, and once to twice a month, we're creating accounts for folks. So this is something that you can kind of go through, create an account for yourself, and then get access to the tutor.com University and kind of go through that training. And additionally, again, it's self-paced. So you can go at it at your own pace. You have about 30 days to go through it, though if you need an extension, we can always give you that extension. And at the very end, there is a certificate of completion, which can potentially be used for continuing education credits at your library or even for your local school system if you want to share this with them as well. So again, this is a fantastic tool and a fantastic training resource for you and your teams. And that covers just about all of the updates that we made to the program that I really wanted to highlight. Again, there are so many resources within the platform that you can utilize and share with patrons. So I do recommend you go and access it by yourself and kind of go through the resources and see what's available. But next, I kind of wanted to talk about programming, outreach, different ways you can start to maybe promote to the tutor.com program, and then some resources that we have to kind of help with that. So, uh, these I'm kind of framing more as questions for you to think about. I understand every library, every school is completely different, so it's a little bit difficult to provide exact things for you to do because your resources may not always be the same. But these are just things to kind of keep in mind. So the first thing is, what kind of children educational programming do you have over at your library? One of the ones that we see most frequently is in-house tutoring. So whether that is, you as a library are working with volunteer tutors to help patrons directly, or there are just tutors that are working with patrons independently from your library, but within the system, so in the computer area or just in the study rooms. What you can do is you can start to work with those tutors and tell them about tutor.com. One thing to kind of keep in mind when doing this is making sure to phrase it and message as though we are not a replacement. We don't want to replace these tutors. We want them to continue to work with their patrons moving forward. But this can be a great resource to kind of provide patrons with when they're going to these tutors so that when they go home, they still have someone that they can reach out to. And this is especially helpful because your program is available 24/7. So you can connect to a tutor at 1 in the morning if you need to. I know me as a high school student, that's kind of when I started to do a lot of my homework last minute. But again, this can be a great resource to tie into those tutoring centers, into those tutoring programs that you might have going on at your library to help continue that education practice outside of library hours and make sure that kids still have access to everything that they need. Additionally, what kind of STEM programming or reading groups do you have going on at your library. These could be for youth or adult levels, but like for STEM program, for example, maybe you have access to a lot of parents that are coming in to kind of do these workshops with their kids. You can start talking to them about tutor.com and different ways that you can continue the work that you're doing in that classroom with our tutors. So again, finding ways to tie tutor.com into those types of events, even if it's simply having some handouts, bookmarks, or a poster in that area, just so that people are aware and they can start connecting the dots between your educational programming and tutor.com. And same thing for reading groups, especially younger groups that are focusing on reading skill development. We do have reading tutors available within the program, so you can kind of work with those young patrons, walk them through going to tutor.com and looking at the resources that we have and working with those parents again so that, maybe those children have access to reading tutors when they get back home. I also kind of want you to think about what adult programming you have going on at your library. So maybe this is career focused. I know some libraries that I work with have, resume and cover letter workshops or career prep workshops. Maybe that's where you want to start tying tutor.com in because we have a very robust resume, cover letter, and really career you know, resource set in our platform. So that's something that you could start bringing in. Again, handouts, flyers, maybe even doing a demonstration for a lot of these folks. We've seen that have a lot of success when it comes to spreading the word about tutor.com and getting people to actually utilize these resources. If there's a local job fair that's happening, you might even be able to partner with them and do a session for your patrons covering resume and cover letter before that job fair, and again, highlighting some of the tutor.com resources that are available. And then any adult education going on in your library or in your community, we do have a lot of resources available. So we have grad school test prep content from the Princeton Review. So if there are any study groups or just groups in general working to prepare for those, you can start promoting tutor.com to them. But also specifically like GED focused stuff. If you have classes going on, we do have tutors that can help with those GED topics. So that is a great way to kind of focus and make sure that you're working directly with the people who need these different types of resources. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to prompt you to think about is what is your capacity for resource training at the library? So this can be as simple as, doing a workshop for school, for students at local schools for them to come into the library, or maybe that you're doing at the schools themselves, talking about conducting research at the library, what resources you have available, how to use your research databases, how to find the specific sources that people are looking for their research papers that, as you are well aware, once you start getting to high school, you have to do more and more of them. And then you can also do a kind of resource training for parents talking about continuing education after school hours. This is where you could talk about not just tutor.com, but any other educational resources, maybe reading resources that you have online, other test prep stuff. All of that you can start putting together into a single training that parents and students can join to learn more about just what is available at your library. Because one of the things that we totally understand is that there is so much and so many resources that are available. It's really difficult to sometimes find the ones that are most pertinent. So this is something that you can start to think about as well. When it comes to actual resources that you have available, you can actually go to our Partner Resource Center, and that is if you scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. And that's where you'll find a lot of these resources that you can start to customize for your specific needs. And I know that we also have some of these on the Discus site as well, pre-customized, but there are just so many resources for you to kind of go through. If you have any writing workshops, for example, we have handouts talking about the writing process and kind of how we approach writing tutoring through our program. We also have a top 10 facts for parents page, as well as a how it works guide. So all of these, again, can be customized to your specific needs. If you want to take bits and pieces of this information for newsletters, you're more than welcome to do that. And we also have bookmarks and program cards that you can print out over at your library. Additionally, we have some resources for our adult patrons. We have website graphics that you can use if you're linking to tutor.com on your library website, as well as, again, posters, handouts focusing on adult education or job search and career help. So again, there are so many resources. I highly recommend you scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner to learn more about what is available within the program or what is available within the Partner Resource Center. And then lastly, I kind of wanted to talk about some of our upcoming resources that are going to be added to your program in the near future. So one is our college and career webinars that we have going on in the near future. I talked about these in the webinar hub. There are links to those registration pages that you can share out. We're constantly adding more and more webinars throughout the year, so do keep an eye out for what is going to be available. But also, we're adding CTE topics to your program in the near future in the next couple of weeks. And these are career and technical education courses. So, for example, if anybody is going into the hospitality field and they need tutoring, they can work with our tutors to go over budgeting, customer service, event planning, operations. Same thing for teacher education, criminal justice, business, even things like agriculture and food science foundations. So there are so many more topics that are going to be coming to your program that your patrons will have access to in the future. And that really covers kind of preparing for the back to school season. I know that there was a lot of information, but I did want to leave some time available for Q&A. So if you have any questions, comments, things you want to know more about, it could be related to what I talked about or just anything tutor.com really. Feel free to drop those into the question bucket, and I'd be happy to kind of go through those and answer them for you. And again, this recording is going to be available for you to access in the next day or so. So do keep an eye out for that in the future. All right. I don't see any questions coming in. Again, I'll leave it for another uh maybe half minute or so just to make sure I give everybody enough time. But if there are no questions coming in, again, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found some of this information helpful. And if anything else does ever come up, if you have questions about the program, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help. But yeah, it doesn't look like any questions are coming in, so I'll go ahead and end the webinar there. Again, thanks so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.